I wasn't going to put this out, but I am committed to reach the intended heart, intended mind at the lowest level where you are, no matter where you are, because you deserve to be happy. And that must be an unconditional commitment to your life. Because guess what? Your whole experience, the people that are connected to you directly, indirectly, as well as those who are connected by way of blood and bone, they are nothing but living manifestations of your state of being. So guess what? You got an option if you're going to be all in. When it comes to your life, y'all, you can't just stick your toe in the water and expect that, oh, you know what? I'm not built for this. You are built for that because you were blessed and you were made perfect from the day you took your first breath. And it's frustrating. And I'm going to try to choose my words because it's not from a place of judgment. It is not a place, this doesn't come from a place of being uh, condescending or kicking somebody when they're down. Because let's be very blunt about this. There are 7.2 billion people on this planet. 50% of the people on this planet do not like the person that they see in the mirror. Did you hear what I said? They don't like the person that they see in the mirror. Why? Because that person on the other side of that reflection demands truth. That person on the other side of the mirror demands a dialogue of intimacy. You got to have a connection with yourself before you can even think about having a connection outside your door. Who am I talking to? Listen here. I'm trying to reach you because if you listen to me, it will also have an impact on your money. Did you hear? I know I got somebody's attention now because we're talking dollars and cents. But why don't we take the dollar aspect and let's look at the sense, your common sense. And there's a lot of people walking around waving this thing called a victim card, waving this sign that says, I'm the doormat, sitting in silence, embracing despair, no matter what their face is outside their door. Oh, yeah. They may have everything under the sun that you may want, but they don't have peace of mind. Why? Because these people still refuse to give themselves what they need. And they are thinking that if I go out there and obtain the things that are made with man's hands. Now, keep in mind, everything that is made with man's hands is temporary. Temporary. Man will never be able to master forever. So why would you allow your mentality, your emotional state of being to be marginalized when it all falls back to you? I'm talking about the person come home from out of the world and You are alone with yourself. You know you got to have that conversation with yourself, right? You ain't crazy. What's crazy is if you refuse to connect back to who matters most. That's you. It's your life. But yet, we don't realize the propaganda, the subliminal messaging that is put out there wherever all your five senses are able to attach. If they're there. But guess what man can't do? Because man wants to be smarter than God, but you'll never be. You will never be. Maybe that's the reason why man has never been able to master finding comfort within themselves. Maybe that is the reason why we turn around and choose reckless abandonment, put our mortality at risk just for temporary satisfaction. Let's go a little deeper. Okay, now, unless you have literally disconnected yourself from communication, from other walks of life, you probably realize that there's been an underlying theme where that everybody wants to play the tattletale. I'm going to tell on you. I'm going to blow the whistle. But how many times have you heard people say this? If you're going to tell it all. And there's such a double standard going on in the world, family. This ain't something that just is plaguing the United States. This is a worldwide dialogue that should have been discussed long time ago. And I'm saying this because if you don't see that the fix is in, family, to change the way you see interacting with other people. Now, granted, respect can never be bought, even though there are plenty of people trying to show examples of, oh, well, I know I don't agree with this, but I will just go along with it until it doesn't suit me. That's wrong. Is one lie less than the next lie? And you wonder why the fallout has an impact on your insecurity. You realize how many people walk around insecure, family? Huh? Do you realize how many people will not even admit that crap to themselves? Hey, you know what? I got $1 million in the bank, but I feel like I'm the loneliest person on the planet. How many of y'all know what I'm talking about? You decide to say, well, you know what? I know I've got some emotional baggage going on, because that's what it is. That is the doorway to depression, family. You do understand that, right? That's what depression is all about. Depression is nothing but unclaimed truth. Why? Because you don't have the courage to take accountability for your life. Why? Man will never corner the market when it comes to mortality. You don't know if you're going to be blessed to see the end of your day. You're not blessed to make it tomorrow, but you woke up today, right? So that should tell you right there, you got work to do. So why will you not value that sacred mind? You got to remember something, family. Nobody has the power to make you do nothing you don't want to do. Nothing. Hold on a minute, family. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. And see, some people don't even, right now, there are some people that have made it to a certain point in their life and they think they're sitting on top of the hill and they don't even realize that that hill is unstable. That is nothing but the setup for your greatest disappointment. That is the doorway to pain and agony. Why? Because we refuse to not put our hands on the steering wheel of life and go forth. This is for somebody. And I say this with love. I do. But I'm so sick and tired. Queen, you know I love you. But if you turn around or listening to the narrative of what society wants to be interpreted, society is going to turn you into the Jezebel. Did you hear me? Society wants nothing more than for you to turn around and have a throwback mentality like they did in the 60s and the 70s. I say this for a reason. Back in the late 60s, early 70s, there was an artist, a backup singer for James Brown named Lynn Collins. And she put out a song called I'm going to use what I got to get what I want. And that was like the anthem to a lot of women because underlining what the message was saying was, hey, you better use your youth. Let your youth be your guide and you will have everything that you could ever want. But guess what happened? Those are our grandparents. That's that auntie that's bitter. That may be your mother that no matter what, she can't find happiness. Why? Because she refuses to look within herself. It's okay. A lot of people say, well, you know what, Gerald? You know, we were all young at one time, and, you know, I made decisions and I made friendships, and in those friendships, you know, I had a lot of experiences. But what they never tell you is how much pain came with that. How much disrespect was with that. How much dishonesty was there too. But guess what? All you had to do was say no. You know that beautiful word called no? The word no does not mean forever. It means under review. So if it is not of your standard, why do you accept it? Why do you entertain it? But today's society wants you to have your mind distracted. That's why there's so much promotion on getting high. To the point it has been watered down. You look at the commercials nowadays. You look at the TV shows. If there's a female figure on it, you give it not even 30 seconds and she's got a wine glass. She's taking it back to the head. Why? Because they don't want you. They don't want you to nurture yourself. Do you understand? To be a woman, you are given 3 special gifts, spiritual gifts. A man is given 2. We both get. Number 1 gift is to unconditionally love yourself. The second gift is the gift of free will, the right to choose. But as a woman, you are given the gift of nurturement. So if you don't nurture yourself, how can you be prepared to nurture your offspring? What example are you going to be able to set? Now, I will say this, because there's a lot of people walking around this planet that are still nursing the wounds of their childhood. Who am I talking to? Sooner or later, you're going to have to look in that room. Because until you do, you're not making correct decisions for your life. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a gash. It's like having an infection in your body, but you just put you just put a little bit of witch hazel on it, knowing that it needs to be purged out of you. Why do you think people? Let me make this correct. Let me, because I really feel somebody hear this, because if you don't hear this, you about to make a bad decision before Friday. And it's going to have something to do with your money too. Because you're thinking, first of all, you can't buy a relationship. That grows. It is spiritually, it's organic. That's for somebody. And I know that somebody's saying, well, you know what, Joe? I hear what you're saying, but I've gotten everything that I ever wanted. I just had to make myself available. First of all, you're not a sport. You're not the team captain, so to speak. But if you're treating your body like you're part of the team, does it surprise you why you got them bumps and bruises? What about those emotional scars that kind of regurgitate every now and then? And you got to like, wait a minute, hold on. Let me go ahead and get me a little hook. Let me go ahead and smoke up something. But what you fail to realize is there's no drug, man-made or earth-grown, that can get you high enough to make your problems go away. Because sooner or later, you're going to come back down. And guess what's going to be there waiting on you? What you left. Did you hear me? What you left. So who has control over you? What your ex did? They're an ex for a reason, family. They didn't deserve to hear you breathe. And let me explain something to somebody. And I know they're hoping that the light bulb don't go off. But as long as you keep that prideful attitude that you got, you might as well leave your purse wide open, because they're going to manipulate you so they can get into it. No different, King. As long as you think you got yourself together, you didn't already gave her the PIN number. You are the PIN number. And that's sad. It's really sad, because think about it. Some of y'all will never admit this, but I'm talking to your heart. Do you not find it kind of ironic that within the last 6 months, you're talking to people that you hadn't talked to over a great period of time? All of a sudden, poof, they're there. You know why? Because they didn't get finished doing the damage from when they were there before. Who am I talking to? And they know that. That's why they were easily able to assess or have access to you again. Why? Because they figured you out. And they are telling you what you want to hear, not showing the actions of what you need. Who am I talking to? And what's really sad, what's really sad is the reality check that's going to hit a lot of people on January 3rd. They say, why January 3rd? Because a lot of y'all going to get your billing statements. And guess what? Bill collectors don't give a damn about what you done bought for Jimmy. They don't care where you went to get that for Sasha. They don't care. They want their money. But as soon as you turn around and say, poof, jackpot, here you go. Guess what? All that energy, the mask will come off. And just as they were in the abyss, it's just as quick as they're going to return. Because this was nothing but a ploy. And it's no different. It's no different, Queens, because some of y'all do not see your worth. Instead of rolling up your sleeves and say, well, you know what? I need to go ahead and do what I need to do to make sure that I got everything all together. You know, because you are a grown up. Some of y'all are going to opt just to lay on your back. You're going to let some fool have access to your secret garden, knowing they didn't deserve to even know your middle name. But you want to make sure that Tommy gets that toy. When in actuality, you should put the bow on and say, I am the toy because I'm getting played. I'm saying this to you. I'm saying this because you deserve to feel emotionally safe. You deserve to be treasured. You deserve to be loved. Did you hear what I said? You deserve to be loved. So when are you going to start loving you? Huh? When are you going to do it? Because there's 1,001 people that are going to make excuses on what they refuse to do. And you know why? Because they're afraid to do it for themselves. Why? Real recognizes real. So the people that you commune with, if they don't celebrate your growth, if they don't tell you what you need to know, that means respect your communication by they respecting themselves. They are the example of your state of mind. Did you hear me? Did you hear me? Otherwise, don't complain. Why are you putting yourself through all this emotional scrutiny because of a man that has a boy spirit? He's a boy. You know he's a boy. But you give him a pass because he stimulates you. Imagine what your husband will be able to do. But if he don't have a relationship with God first, he can never have a relationship with you because it's not blessed. That's lust. And I'm not going to sit up here and judge because you looking at, I was a womanizer. Yes, I was. But what was more disparaging of that behavior, because that was the behavior, that was the reaction. Took me 25 years to figure it out because what I longed for my whole life was to be loved. But the thing was, I wasn't loving Gerald. So guess what? I didn't know myself. Impulse was what stimulated my steps. The more provocative, more I was able, yeah, I got away with that. But I was never the type of person that would disrespect you. No. Because even with my youth, my teens, I was always raised to be respectful. I didn't even lose my virginity until I was 18. On my 18th birthday, from, get this, a 16-year-old girl. She didn't carry herself like she was 16. Had me convinced she was 23. Till one day, her mom pulled me into the kitchen and she asked me. We had a conversation. We had a great rapport. But I was very naive. I was very gullible. And I did not understand the difference between sensuality as well as respect. And I was getting played like a fiddle. I was. And I didn't understand. I didn't. But God would show me. He would send me on my journey, and that journey would take me all around the world. Been all over the world, family. I have. And the behavior that we're seeing right now, family, I saw this almost 27 years ago. I saw it in Europe, and I was like, I took it in, but I didn't understand why, you know, why people function the way they did at the time. And it made it here. Why? Because behavior is is condonable. You have some people that are so insecure that they will find their position and play their part as long as they can not be unscathed or have to give up more than they're willing to offer. You're priceless. You're priceless. But you got people that will quickly lay on their back for a Kit Kat instead of standing on their feet and earning it themselves. Hold on 1 second, family. Hold on. I'm gonna grab some coffee real quick. know somebody right now are in their feelings, and they're probably like, who are you to tell me about me? You saying that. You and your feelings, because what I'm saying to you makes sense. First of all, thank you for being patient. Gotta have my being, and to remind you, you are blessed. You're blessed because you woke up this morning. You're blessed because this is sinking in. But your blessings are time release. God is not going to put you where you need to be to receive your harvest unprepared. Did you hear what I said? He is not going to do that. But if you let the naysayers, the people in the cheap seats, tell you that, they basically, all you got to do is just take note, listen, learn from their mistakes. And that right there will let you know if you are in the right company, but more or less in the right direction too. You got people waking up this morning dealing with panic attacks, dealing with lucid dreams, even to the point you don't even listen to your radio because you think the radio is talking to you. Now that's God. That's God trying to say, come on back home. That's what God's doing. Because God will use whatever, whenever, however, to let his child know that, hey, you have value. You don't see it yet, but stay the course. But here's the ironic thing about that. We allow people to define what is priceless in our own lives. Why? Who are they to tell you that you're not beautiful? You ever thought that maybe they want to project their energy on you, which is nothing but manifestation, to keep you suppressed from your blessing? You ever thought about that? That's why misery loves company. Why is it now that you're hearing so much negative energy and contact everywhere you look around? Why? Because they want you to condone it. They want you to turn around and say, you know what? It's better that I just roll this way than be myself. Think about it this way. If you were meant to be them, wouldn't you have their lives? You have your own. Let that sink in. And you'll also come to understand that a true connection, a friendship, the word friend is sacred. You do know that, right? It is. Because it's forged by love. So why are you allowing people to have an impact, influence on your life if they're not helping you grow? It's like a plant, family. Your spirit is the root, and that root needs nourishment, but it also requires time. Okay, I got to break it down for somebody, because you still think that as long as you do what you're doing, things are going to balance out in the end. Let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep on that road, and you know what's going to happen? It's going to turn into a dead end, and slowly but surely, very systematic. Everybody that you thought had your support, one by one, they're not going to be there. No different than a ship that has a hole in it. The rats, and I'm not trying to be condescending, but even rats and rodents always seek higher ground in times of conflict. So does it surprise you why you haven't heard from them? Why? Because they didn't have the courage to tell you what you needed from the first hello. And they, plus through their actions, your life expectancy or your worth has expired. That's why they're able to shift so much. That's why when you see them, they're not with the same person they were with. What happened to Larry? I don't love him no more. Let me tell you something. When a person flip flops like that, it's because they don't know what love is. Love comes from within yourself. And it starts the moment that you unconditionally make a commitment to God. Because God will never steer you wrong. So guess what? If it's not enhancing your life and there's an influence there that's causing pain, that's causing misery, that's supporting pride, putting out ego, as well as denial, you know that ain't God, right? Huh? You know that's not God. Then who is it? What is it? It's demonic energy, family. That's that Jezebel spirit. And you know, for the last, shoot, 10 years, easy, the Jezebel spirit has been tearing up families from the lowest, from the youngest to the oldest. Why? Because they see the problem, they acknowledge the problem, but they don't have the courage to address the problem. Why? Because then if you acknowledge what is present, then you have to acknowledge the thought pattern. Everybody has an opinion, but also everybody has a perception. And it's your responsibility to find what makes you you, huh? They can't do it. All they can do is influence you. So you're gonna make a choice. You're gonna say, "Hey, look here, enough's enough. It's time for me to get off the emotional roller coaster." Because I know some of y'all been on that roller coaster for a long time. Some of y'all been doing this. That's not your life. It's like, oh man, I gotta go through another struggle. No, the struggle stops when you decide to ground your feet. So why you walking around with the sucker? Why you got the stamp on your head called doormat? When in actuality you already know what you need. Listen, some people, they already know the truth, but they won't admit what keeps them there. I'll tell you what keeps them there. It's the longing for control. And where control is, there is manipulation. And where manipulation is, there is no truth. So you are on that emotional treadmill, but you can get off of it. It might require you to say, you know what? I love myself more. And if that means I got to get out of your way, so be it. Or better yet, have that conversation with yourself. So, you know what? I'm tired of this. I deserve better. And I still have the responsibility for my dreams. What about your legacy? What about the people that are going to come behind you that you will never know, but they're connected to you through blood and bone? What about the people that you're going to influence in your future? Because your future self is sitting there, waiting, hoping that you make the concise decisions to make those critical thoughts manifest and be your reality. What about that? Meanwhile, you're going to have people just going to stay stepping to that beat, suffering in silence. Why? because they don't want to own their life. But if you ask them, do you love you? They'll give you the screw face. Right? So if they're easy to dispel that, doesn't then that should tell you that's what their relationships are like. We are what we attract. So why can't you attract peace? Huh? Huh? Who am I talking to? You still with that guy, but he puts his hands on you. You know why he puts his hands on you? Because he can't control himself. And he learned from the environment that he was reared in. And that was acceptable. But let's not get it twisted. There's just as many women out there whooping tail too. You see it all the time. She can't have a dialogue without having the last word. She can't critically think. She thinks that if I use my brawn, I don't have to use my brain. Let me tell you something, Queen, because I love you. The most sexiest thing about a woman, though she is fragile like the flower, it is her brain. Because the brain is the doorway to the subconscious. But if she does not see her worth, nor can she value what will come from her, for she will become the root. Maybe that's why you feel like someone has put roots on you. Nah, that's nothing but sex energy. That's all it is. And some of y'all know, you come in contact with people that their sexual prowess is so powerful, make you call out from work, make you spend your money, make you do things that you would never think to do. But I ask you this, do they know God? Because why would you want to align yourself with someone that cannot protect your heart? Who am I talking to? It doesn't matter what clothes you put on and clothes you take off. If it does not protect your state of being, that's what knowledge of self is all about, family. You got to go within. You got to go within yourself before you can put your foot down to take the first step. And I'll prove it. When's the last time? Let me tell you something. I keep echoing this, and you keep playing with it. I told you, this is nothing but a tool. This is nothing but a tool. But if you got contacts in here that you ain't messed with, you ain't communicated with in the last 6 months, why are they there? Why? They don't deserve access to your life. If you're spending more energy on social media to peek through the window of someone else's life, then stand by with them and embrace the experience. You're wasting your time. And they got no problem because they're not looking at you as the experience. They are looking at you as the distraction. Don't you deserve better? Huh? Because real talk, abusers once were the abused. But what separates those who have been broken from that shackle is they acknowledged, they took accountability, and they claimed their wisdom from it. Come on now. As long as you keep looking at as long as you look at society as examples of what being a man is and being a woman is, you will be disenfranchised. I keep trying to tell you, Queen, society wants you to be the prostitute. It wants you to focus nothing on your. Oh, listen, let's look at the top 1% on the financial bracket. Do you think they are spending any energy staring at the size of their ass, how supple their breast is? No, they're not. But they like the fact that you do, because guess what? They're investing their money in the things that will be your distractions, and they're making money off of your ignorance. Same ploy, same tactic in the 70s. In the 70s, you had what was deemed the image of beauty. You had Farrah Fawcett, Cheryl Tiegs, Raquel Welch, Elizabeth Taylor, and that was just what was socially promoted. And you know what they were doing? They were bleaching their hair, as well as it was all about the breasts. You had to have them breasts out. Time will fast forward, and the roles have reversed. Now it's not about looking forward, it's looking at your behind. But guess what? Who's benefiting from that? Johns. Yeah, I ain't stutter. What do you think a John does? He doesn't invest in you. He invests in your body. He does what he has to do, and he does what he does, and he's up out of there. You think he's going to stick around? No, because once the fantasy has been fulfilled, he don't know you. So guess what? Now you have just as many women. The roles have reversed. You got just as many women. And let's keep it 100. When it comes to perversion, no matter how perverted a man can think, it cannot compare to the imagination of a woman. That ain't nothing. And y'all know that. When it comes to focusing on your sensuality and your sexuality, a man can't compete. He can't. He can't. But guess what? He can't give you your self-worth either. He can't do that. Especially if you don't even know his. So now, what's going on? Now you have this perfect storm where all these people, all these men of influence are getting outed out. Now I don't condone manipulation. But if you're gonna call it across the board. You can't tell me there's not a woman that has not done the same thing. But you ain't heard nothing. You ain't heard not one woman say, well, you know what? I was, I was groped by another woman. Or you never hear another man say, well, you know what? I was sexually assaulted by my boss. What about those people that embrace the alternative lifestyle? You think that ain't going on? And you'll be surprised. There are some people that is waving that flag like they are, and that ain't nothing but a damn scam. They ain't gay. They playing a part. They playing a part. But if you're gonna tell it, tell it. You think that stuff don't go on in the fashion world? Come on now. In the music industry? Come on now. Come on now. And what happens? It's always the scenario of the person that has compared to the person who strives to have. Why is it we're hearing things that occurred 20, 30 years ago, but this stuff is going on right now? right now. You got people working at McDonald's that are putting a price tag on their sexuality because they want hours. That happens. Hmm. Why we ain't talking about that? But yeah, we'll quickly turn around and say, "Nah, Gerald, you no, you know, if you throw the flag up there about being sexually assaulted by a woman, you gay." And you know what's going to happen? It is going to be the linchpin that is going to compromise the whole uh, dynamic between a man and a woman. Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to have a lot of men. They're going to have this position like, you know, I do like her. I do like her. But now I can't communicate because if I try to communicate to her, especially if it's initiated, she might turn around and say that I violated her. And you're gonna have a lot of people gonna be all, and guess who that benefits? The same people that don't want you to be happy. What does that do? That all it does is make a platform for more fear, more isolation, more division. I ain't never heard. I'm still waiting for somebody to say, well, you know what? Um, yeah, I turned around and I didn't like how he came at me, but I just rolled with it. Why is that? Why ain't, you know what I'm saying? If there's something going on, that's just like somebody breaking in your house, right? You don't report it, and then a period of time has passed, and then now you want to bring it up. Well, the damage has been done. Why you wait so long? Unless there was an agenda to begin with. And all that's going to do is open up a firestorm. Because trust when I tell you, Queen, there's going to be a lot of women that are going to get called on the carpet. Because trust and believe, when it comes to human nature, come on now, look at all the movies that were made the last 30 years that talked about that. But we quickly dispel it like, nah, she just crazy. Or we hear this, I want what I want. Okay, you want to go to jail for it? Because assault is assault. But I also see it as another subtle tactic to emasculate men. Now, at the end of the day, right is right, wrong is wrong. But you look at all these people that still right now are shaking in their boots. They're shaking in their boots because they benefited from that connection. I'm not condoning it, but like I said, you can't turn around and just like, you know what? I rolled with it, and now I am where I am. Because you know damn well they're not gonna leave their job. They're not gonna leave their status. What? So how can you turn around and use the victim card? Well, you know what? I was assaulted and I just kept it going. But yet you still making all that money. So you benefited from it. You can't, all money ain't good money. But why ain't we talking about that? Hmm? That's all I'm saying. It seems like every day they got another dude up there with bad behavior when that should have been addressed a long time. And here's the funny thing about it. These guys that are in positions of influence, you think that's going to stop them making their money? Because it's not. But here's the sad thing. There's just as many women making just as much money with the same tactic. Trust and believe. There's some CEOs and they ain't saying nothing because they ain't going to mess up their bread. Doesn't make it right. And that's where that old phrase of everybody's got a price came from. That's where it came from. And it's sad because at the end of the day, we all reap what we sow. And that's why some people can't go to sleep at night. They can't sleep well because they got a lot of demons. They got a lot of skeletons in their closet, and they hoping that it never comes out because it will. That line, that line is very long. Why? Because it parallels to that table called misery, and misery loves company. Ain't no different. Think about it like this. Think about when you was a child and you got siblings. One got in trouble, you got in trouble. You think that dynamic ain't changed? People are carrying that same behavior mindset in their adulthood, which is sad because you are now teaching your offspring the example of what an example of a relationship be. A relationship should be. Come on now. Think about it. Think about it. Why we ain't talking about that? Meanwhile, as long as you're distracted and not focusing on you, you're not a threat. You're not the risk. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to keep going to the well until there's nothing left. But guess what? What happens when the well gets dry? And it eventually shows up on your physical form. You see it. You can see it right here. The eyes are the window to the soul, King. You can't run. Ain't that much distance in the world that you can't run from your truth. Sooner or later, you got to answer for it. And I know that some people say, well, Gerald, that was the mentality back then. Women wanted strong men. And then they came out and said, well, when a woman says no, that's no. And then you have people come out and say, well, no, sometimes that's not the case. She just wants the challenge. And look at our social dynamic now. It's all about the chase. I meet you today, wait 3 days, you call me, and I'll wait 2 days, I'll call you, and you're playing a game with no end, wasting time, money, and effort instead of asking the questions that you deserve to know. Why is that? Why are we so afraid of our truth? Oh, I know. Because you refuse to claim your life. You refuse to see your uniqueness. You refuse to see the person priceless. Well, you can't gauge your beauty between your legs. Your worth is not found in your wallet or in your pocket. And guess what? Every day there'll be somebody that was first will fall from grace, because God told man a long time ago, those who are last will be made first. And those who are first are made last. Why? Because you are going to learn everything that you projected out. Every lie that you told, somebody gonna lie right back to you. And you better hope that you are afforded the opportunity to embrace your insight. Because if you don't, you know what's going to happen? Because the devil's a lion in the brush. He wants to destroy your lineage and everything connected to you. And if you turn around and keep learning, turning the blind eye, you know what he's going to do? He's going to go after your kids. He's going to cause your kids to suffer, which indirectly will make you break. Who am I talking to? That's why most men that have daughters, they terrified. Most men are. Why? Because they know that there's going to be somebody just like them that is going to take their daughter through the same trials and tribulations That's right, King. Ain't no amount of guns in the world that can keep your heart, keep your daughter's heart from being broken. But your wisdom, your honesty can set her free. That's what being a man's about. But ask yourself this: why is it that there's no women being addressed? You know damn well everybody in Congress got skeletons. Hmm. You know everybody in your community got dirt too. Why are we not talking about it? Hmm? Why? Because they're always looking for a come up, not a breakthrough. You are the breakthrough. I would love to hear from you guys. If you got any questions, concerns, please by all means drop a line. All my videos are for you. If you want to share them, share them. That's what they're for. Each one teach one. And lastly, I want to have a open forum. Maybe I'll do it this weekend. Um, where if you had any questions that you want to talk about or validation, I just want a second opinion. Because all you're going to get from me is truth and a blessing, a prayer. But I know it's been long overdue. But my thing is this: uh, I need more than 50 people that want to show interest on doing it. I would love to do that, like maybe every 2 weeks. I open up my channel and I open up the chat and we chop it up. Let's talk about this thing called life and how it has an impact in a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you. Why? Because you deserve peace of mind. You deserve to feel emotionally safe. And you deserve to be loved, respected, honored, and treasured. God has all that for you. But let me tell you something. That does not give you permission to go on a journey to seek your mate out. God never wanted you to do that. He wants you to prepare. And if you want that fruitful relationship, that means you got to go in that emotional backpack and look at every one of those insecurities and go through every one of them so that you can purge them out of your life. And that starts by you forgiving yourself. Because the person that you were today is not the person that you were last year or 5 years ago or 10 years ago. That's what spiritual evolution is all about. But if you're feeling like you're stuck, admit to yourself what has you there. But keep in mind, God's got something better. It's up to you if you're going to claim it because you're worth it. God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Listen, family, you'd be surprised how many people are walking around with a hole in their heart and they trying so hard to keep it together. Prove, but let a Christmas song come on. Oh, you're gonna see some emotion, and maybe that's the reason why you got this dysfunction going on in your workplace, because that's really what's going on with your coworker. That's for somebody. It's because they are very vulnerable during this time of year because what they've always wanted was someone to greet them with a smile when they go home. Can't find love in the club, family. Love is always and will always be within you. Be blessed.